Here's another snowing vlog, since you apparently liked the previous one. It was personal and stuff. I'm on my way to pay the bills, since yes, whatever money I make go to paying bills. I'm not pretending I don't have to eat and then spend $1,000 on getting One Piece volumes. Hey GB, I'm doing my best to improve. No, you're not, you fucking man-child. So anyways, let's find something to talk about while I'm going to pay the bills. Oh yes, the controversy caused by the Shield hero. Oh yeah, fake rape allegations. It's the exact same thing they did last season with Goblin Slayer, only this time it's in the reverse. Instead of blaming the bad guy for being bad, now they're blaming the hero for being right. It's the same thing actually, they just use rape as means to create sympathy for the good guys and hatred for the bad guys. The only difference is that now women are the ones doing it. So this so-called controversy, yeah, there is no such thing, okay? It's just something they made up so they can attract attention to the show. They do something like that every couple of months, just so the community can have something to talk about. Either about themselves who said it, or the show. It just means to increase the traffic, you know? It's a trick. They're playing you like fools. They can do the same thing with any show, regardless of what it's about. I mean, can you imagine if they were airing the first episode of the Care Bears from the 80s? Not the reboot. Boy, would that show be problematic today. And only because they found something in it. Oh no! A pedo bear stalks children and then goes in their houses while the parents are away and then lures them to follow him and go inside his car with toys and then takes them to his place where he brainwashes them with magic. Ooh, this is so problematic. Let's make a big fuss about it. Nonsense. There's no such thing, there's no controversy. They just want to nag about something because, hey kitty, because yeah, modern times, we live in a society and we need to nag about something every day. Such things exist only to mess with your expectations every single time. Remember what they were saying about how terrible Tokyo Ghoul is as an anime and everybody should go read the manga? Guess what, my lovelies, even the manga is shit. The more it goes on, the creepier and shittier it becomes and the ending is just blah. But not gonna tell you that. What are they gonna tell you? The anime is terrible, the manga is great, go read that one. If the anime was great, let's say it had 200 episodes, okay? And it was a very, very faithful adaptation of the manga. No changes. And it was moving very slowly. What would the result be? They would hate both the manga and the anime. Because the plot makes no sense the more it goes on. But now, well, the anime may be shit, but the manga is great because the anime is worse than the manga. Get it? Anyone who complains about the anime being shit doesn't understand that they're being controlled, they're being fooled. Hey, neighbor. Shut up, dog. Believe it or not, the lowered expectations of the anime just made you love the manga. Hey, lucky dog. So basically, every time you hear someone saying, oh, this is problematic, this is a controversy, there is no such thing. They just try to make it seem it so they will mess with your expectations and control you as you react. We live at a time when even infamy is fame, so it doesn't matter if you like or dislike something, you're just there to create attraction with drama. So basically what you need to understand about the age of the internet, splashing comes along, is that something is as serious as they try to make it seem to be. You weren't hearing anyone complaining about plot holes in the old Star Wars movies, were you? But then the internet came and you had millions of people talking about potential plot holes and problems in directing and shit. And now you see plot holes and problematic stuff everywhere. And so they think that there is so much problem in this world nowadays. When in reality they just have more opinions about something. So whatever you want to say about Goblin Slayer and the Shield hero causing controversies, what you actually need to talk about is that these are light novels and they're always using rape to make a point. It's their only way of trying to make you hate the bad guys and love the hero. There's nothing else to talk about it. Everything else is just, oh, this is problematic. It's always been problematic. You don't hear anyone complaining about it before. Things are the way they are since their inception. They're not gonna change just because you change your opinions. So basically, try to separate what you think or what is wrong with you before you try to judge something, because light novels were always like that. 90s violent OVAs were always like that. Rape in every single light novel was always there. It's not gonna go away because you think it's problematic. Even if you succeed, you're just gonna have people saying, well, you can just read the source material because it's not holding back. How is that any different or better? You just can have the same excuse. Well, the anime is holding back, but the source material is amazing, you know, like Tokyo Ghoul. So there you go, you just made things worse, because now people are gonna be lowering their expectations again, and they're gonna be loving Tokyo Ghoul manga because it's shit, but hey, no censorship. I mean, come on, controversy in my butt. There's no such thing. You just create drama to mess with people's expectations, and you do all this nonsense just because you want to increase the traffic to something that everybody will have forgotten by the time the next season comes along. And now excuse me as I go inside to pay the bills with the petty money I'm making thanks to YouTube and Patreon, which keeps getting lower and lower every month because you guys are not supporting me anymore, and I'm not gonna cry for you to give me more because I'm not that kind of a person. But if in a couple of months you notice that I'm not making that many videos, it's because you guys cannot support my lifestyle of not working anymore, so I'll have to go outside and, I don't know, shovel manure or something. So cheers to one last month of being active, I guess. Unless the income increases or something, but I'm not begging anyone. We often hear about a show being divisive, and it's about time we clarify what that word actually means. Because it's often confused with 3 other cases, which, although similar in effect, they are not making something divisive.
A Place Further Than the Universe has been making its rounds on YouTube as the best anime of the year. I think A Place Further Than the Universe is underwhelming.
The first case is polarizing opinions. There are those who love it and there are those who hate it, with not many in the middle saying it's average. Although this divides people's opinions into extreme opposites, the show is not divisive if the two sides are not about the same in size. You cannot have majority and minority opinions on this, they have to be about equal.
The experience I received from the show is different from most. I was not invested in the characters. That's not the popular opinion on YouTube right now. Dislike my video and click away.
The second case we shouldn't confuse with divisiveness is hype backlash. If the first wave of watchers begin watching a show with no expectations, really like it and praise it a lot, then most of the second wave of watchers who will watch the same show with their expectations tempered by the first wave, they will not have the same opinion because the bar of what they expected was at a much different level. Although this also leads to polarizing opinions, and in some cases the two polarizing opinions can match in size, it does not make the show divisive because the split was not made while it was airing, but rather sometime after the event was over.
The biggest problem with this show is the amount of hype that surrounds it. I thought I was going to watch a masterpiece. All I got was a decent cute girls anime.
And the third case we shouldn't confuse with divisiveness is when it's not popular or first impressions make it seem boring or mediocre. For something to receive a drastic split in opinions, it has to be watched by a lot of people and it needs to have a very positive first impressions. Otherwise, the disagreement does not feel important enough to count as divisive. Very few people watch a show they don't like for more than a couple of episodes. When that happens, there isn't a big enough audience which can claim to have divisive opinions.
My expectations were set way too high, which led to me being disappointed. I genuinely believe the show was underwhelming.
Because of these 3 clarifications, for a show to truly be divisive, there have to be 4 prerequisites. Number 1, it matters only when there is a big enough fanbase. Number 2, it happens from within a dedicated fanbase and not by outsiders who don't like, don't care, or don't watch the show as it's airing. Number 3, it needs to split the fanbase almost in half, not something that annoyed a small portion of them. And number 4, there has to be a big enough audience that argues as soon as it happens and not in retrospect. Noxtaku trolled the crap out of Mal when Funimation removed the interspecies reviewers from its platform. He made a fuss about it, and before you know it, hundreds of thousands of people became interested in the show, giving it fake scores for inflating the average and turning it into the most popular title of the season. This is not the first time such a thing had happened. Every time a controversy takes place, which is basically vocal haters shitting on something and then the vocal defenders coming in to protect it, a title blows up in popularity. Not not because it's an actually good show that deserved more attention, but because it caused a controversy and attracted the attention of a lot of curious casuals. Which is why, once again, popularity became such a joke. Back in the good old days, the most popular shows were also the best shows, because there were no social media to cause controversies and attract a lot of people who otherwise didn't care about the show. But the shows were underwatched because most people would drop them and focus on the good shows, and there would be no outcries on Twitter or Tumblr for attracting the casuals into checking out the latest drama bait going on behind the scenes. Which is why quality matters less and less when it comes to recognition. A show is no longer rewarded based on how actually good it is, but rather on how popular it is based on popularity polls. Why was Demon Slayer the anime of the year in the Crunchyroll Awards? Because a lot of people were praising it and a lot of other people were shitting on it, which caused a lot of casuals to watch it and vote that one instead of something else, because they didn't watch anything else from that year. They only watch what the buzz is currently about. This is a chart I made about the ratio of hidden jewels to good titles per decade. As you can see in the last column, the percentage of hidden jewels increases exponentially with each passing decade. Popularity and quality became more and more distant from each other, because what matters is the meta, not the actual product. And obviously the same thing applies outside of anime. The Sonic movie received a lot more praise and attention than it normally would if people cared only about the movie itself. But there was a lot of drama surrounding its production, from changing the design of Sonic, to being compared to the CGI of Detective Pikachu, to getting boycotted by liberal supporters of Birds of Prey. As a result, a lot more people went to check out the movie and made an otherwise by-the-numbers, forgettable family movie into one of the most popular movies of the season. And that is why popularity now means shit. It's not a defense in favor of something. Sword Art Online is not good because it's popular, and the Sonic movie is not amazing because it sold a lot more tickets than what was anticipated. What is good is defined by gold standards, and popularity is not one of them. Redo of the Healer didn't get much of a controversy for its revenge rape theme, and this guy was wondering why when other similar shows had a huge outcry. If you remember the 4 golden rules for what makes something divisive, then you know the reasons why. But since I never explain myself and only hate anime for being a contrarian, this video does not exist and needs to be ignored completely. Let's instead see what the comments said about it. Reason number 1. People got used to it. They didn't get used to it when Devilman came out in the 70s, or when the market was flooded with ultra-violent OVAs in the 90s, or when Elfen Lied came out in the 00s, or when SAO was up the ass in rapists. They only got used to it 2 years ago. This is something that only works with people who are very new to anime and very sensitive. Basically Zoomers and SJW millennials. My generation never made a fuss about them. Reason number 2. People knew what kind of a show it is right away, and therefore they weren't shocked or didn't bother with it. That is true. Unlike in the previous shows, there were a lot of warnings this time. And that is why subverting expectations is bullshit. Shocking the audience because they didn't see it coming is only a knee-jerk reaction that causes drama and ruins critical thinking because it's all about your feelings and how shocked and disgusted you felt. If it's all about the shock, very few actually bother to evaluate something for what it is. Reason number 3, because the show is not as popular. It takes a lot of people for something to become controversial. Goblin Slayer attracted a lot of D&D players, the Shield Hero attracted a lot of video game players. Redo of the Healer doesn't attract anyone who is not into revenge porn, and thus it has a very small audience. Another factor that affects the popularity is the streaming service. Crunchyroll and Funimation are much bigger than High Dive, which results to a lot more people watching those shows and increases the odds of an outcry. Reason number 4. There is nothing to defend in Redo of the Healer. The other 2 series had interesting things and seemed to be trying to do something with their premises, which made a lot of people to defend them because they liked the theory behind it all or were playing very cool in a superficial way. Redo of the Healer has no theme or premise other than revenge rape. How can you defend that? And reason number 5 is timing. The show came out at a time when other shows are getting all the spotlight. Who gives a shit about Redo of the Healer when the animation of Attack on Titan is not as good as Jujutsu Kaisen? Who cares when you have the age-load, time reset bullshit of ReZero and the horrendous animation of X-Arm? Controversies are ultimately first world problems, and when Zoomers and SJW millennials have something popular to complain about, they won't give a shit about the less popular titles. What, you thought there is actual gravity behind this kind of shit? It's just about oversensitive people on the internet complaining about things without ever explaining why they hate them. So there is a new manga about someone who hates aliens, and the internet decided it's a metaphor for xenophobia, hating the refugees, and a whole bunch of other nonsense. This gave it a huge initial push in popularity since a lot of people got curious enough to check it out. Not me, I didn't bother with it. I don't like the title, and the topic has already been done on television, and it was overall great. I am not rushing to read a modern pile of garbage that will probably get axed in 20 chapters without exploring a nail clip of everything these retro shows have achieved. With that said, Drama Queen, what a name, is now dependent on controversy. People went in for the themes, not the characters or the plot, and as soon as they don't see enough edgy content or actual controversy, they will just jump to something else. You can't imagine how much this limits the creators, since now they have to ponder their audience, or risk getting the manga axed by not pondering the audience they gathered thanks to the controversy. Now, if creating an edgy manga about xenophobia was always their intent, good for them. They still got all the popularity by triggering the internet and not by doing something actually worth reading. And you know it's not actually worth reading yet, because it's just the first chapter and it's already dependent on controversy. Something that never lasts for more than a few weeks and often ends by cancelling everyone involved. And that is why Retro always wins!